How are y'all doing today on this Monday, June 8th? Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12OZSportsRadio.com. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. We're live in a beautiful, sunny, and comfortable today, Baltimore, Maryland, which is home of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. Who's excited for this week to get started? And who is excited for today to start as well? I wish I was doing this show outside, but one of these days I'll be able to do it outside with my own laptop when I get a new one, I suppose, instead of stuck here in this basement. But it's fine, it works. As long as all this stuff works, all swells ends well, right? So, speaking of sunny, nice days, on a day like today, let's get started here with the Major League Baseball draft that's going to be taking place. On Wednesday, virtual draft, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Now, I know no one really gives two rips about baseball draft. I'm going to put it in the words of Max Kellerman. I'm going to share those tweets later, what the NHL players had to say about him. I'm going to say it about the MLB draft. Who gives a rip about the MLB draft, right? Well, someone's got to give a rip. People within the MLB, people within the 30 organizations. So I decided to do some research on it and do a mock draft for it, because you know how baseball is built from the ground up. When these guys get drafted, you're not going to play for the New York Mets and New York Yankees tomorrow. You're going down in the minor league system and taking 2, 3, 4 years until you get to the big leagues if you're lucky. Usually first round picks usually pan out, but I guess it depends on how good your scouting department is too. It could also stink from the S to the K, or it could be really bright, like teams like the Atlanta Braves and the San Diego Padres, and so on and so forth. So here we are. Let's start with the number 1 pick, the Detroit Tigers. They're going to take Spencer Torkelson, a first baseman from Arizona State. Best left-handed hitter in the draft class. Detroit, they got all sorts of pitching prospects in their farm system. You got Casey Mize, who he's basically going to be the number 1 pitcher one of these days in baseball. But they don't have enough hitting prospects. And plus, Miguel Cabrera is on the back 9 of his career, plays first base, third base. Second pick, the Baltimore Orioles take Asa Lacy, left-handed pitcher, Texas A&M. First of all, the Orioles need all sorts of pitching problems in the big leagues. Draft a lefty, have him as your potentially number 2 in the future to go with Grayson Rodriguez. Grayson Rodriguez is supposed to be the potential ace in the future of the Orioles. Number 3, the Miami Marlins. Why not draft Austin Martin, outfielder, third baseman, Vanderbilt? Let's see. Vanderbilt is basically a powerhouse baseball SEC school who gets all these guys drafted in the major leagues. David Price went to Vanderbilt, and so did a lot of other very good players. The SEC, just like football, seems to be very good when it comes to baseball as well. And slowly but surely, Derek Jeter, the owner, is building a nice foundation with the Marlins in that prospect pool to go along with now J.J. Belladay in the outfield. Get Austin Martin here. Number 4, Kansas City Royals, Garrett Mitchell, outfielder, UCLA. Kansas City, they got pitching prospects. Go get some hitting prospects. Number 5, Toronto Blue Jays, Emerson Hancock, right-handed pitcher, Georgia. The Blue Jays, what is it? Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Kevin Biggio, and Bo Bichette. They all happen to make their way up through the farm system. They got the bats. Go get pitchers. Nate Pearson's one of the guys that's projected to be a potential ace for Toronto in the future. Go get yourself another guy, Emerson Hancock. And remember, he was projected to be the top pitcher in this class when they were talking about it after last year's draft class. So that's something to be seen. Number 6, Seattle Mariners, Nick Gonzalez, shortstop, second baseman, New Mexico State. Seattle needs position players. Seattle hasn't been in the playoffs since 2001. They're starting to get their foundation better, but they're still a ways away, the Seattle Mariners. Number 7, the Pittsburgh Pirates, Reed Detmers, left-handed pitcher, Louisville. Pittsburgh, they need to basically rebuild everything. They need to find better playoff development. They need basically everything they could ask for in their farm system because their playoff development is hot garbage. And they need pitchers too because their pitching stinks. From the S to the K, and it's downright awful. I mean, I've seen college guys pitch better than the Pirates have. So get yourself a left-handed pitcher here. Draft one. Develop him. And hopefully Pittsburgh knows what they're going to do this time around with player development. Because you have guys like Mitch Keller and Jameson Taillon, and maybe their careers will get ruined before it even begins. Garrett Cole left the Pirates and he blossomed. And so did Tyler Glasnow, who's on the Tampa Bay Rays. So let's hope it's a new day for the Pirates in developing their pitchers. And they actually happened to draft one in the first round last year. Number 8, the San Diego Padres, Zach Veen, outfielder, Spruce Creek, Florida, high school. Padres, they got one of the best farm systems in baseball. Just continue to stockpile it with the best player available. Number 9, Colorado Rockies, Max Meyer, right-handed pitcher, Minnesota. Colorado doesn't have enough arms in their rotation or in their system. The thing with the Rockies is, yeah, they got the offense. Well, you got Nolan Arenado. You got Trevor Story. You basically got all those studs. Get yourself some pitchers for down the road. Number 10, the Los Angeles Angels. Mick Abel, right-handed pitcher, Jesuit, Oregon. Angels don't got enough pitching. You got Mickey Callaway's your new pitching coach. So maybe that'll have an influence down in the minors some way, somehow. And the Angels, they need get some pitchers in that system. They don't have enough of them right now. Number 11, Chicago White Sox, Heston Kierstad, outfielder, Arkansas. Yes, Chicago's plenty deep in their outfield in the majors, potentially the White Sox and the farm. Go get yourself the best player available. Who knows? It's about depth, and it's about other things when you're drafting in baseball. Okay? Because when you draft, well, you get to maybe use it as trade pieces for potentially bigger stars. When you need something at the trade deadline in down the road, and something you might need to get a pennant or win a division or find a way to make the playoffs. Number 12, the Cincinnati Reds, Austin Hendrick, outfielder, West Allegheny, Pennsylvania. The Reds, that's another team that's developing a nice core and a foundation with its farm system and with all its players. Hendrick, nice. He's a very good hitter. And the Reds, that is something the Reds do very well, is hit the baseball. And he will fit that bill just fine with the Cincinnati organization. The 13th pick, the San Francisco Giants select Jared Kelly, right-handed pitcher, Refugio, Texas. And San Francisco, another team that's rebuilding. They need all the position. They need all the position players they can get. So rebuild by pitching or hit or bats. That's not a very strong farm system. Number 14, Texas Rangers, Ed Howard, shortstop, Mount Carmel, Illinois. And I thought that was only a town in Mount Carmel, Pennsylvania. But here we are, Mount Carmel, Illinois. Get yourself another position player Texas needs as many prospects as it could get. Texas is another farm system that's not very good. Elvis Andrus is their shortstop, but I mean, how many more years does Elvis Andrus really have with Texas? Number 15, Philadelphia Phillies, Nick Bitsko, right-handed pitcher, Central Bucks East, Pennsylvania. Oh, does that fit the bill here perfectly? Central Bucks East? I'm probably sure he grew up being a Philadelphia Phillies fan. 6'4", 225. Bitsko, he could throw the heat. And the Phillies are going to need some more arms in that system because, yeah, you got Aaron Nola, and yeah, you got Jake Arrieta. Vince Velasquez, sure. But you need some depth in your farm system due to injuries. Yeah, as they say, you can never have enough pitchers, right? Number 16, Robert Hassell, outfielder, Independence, Tennessee. And what's funny is the Tennessee Smokies is actually the Double-A team of the Chicago Cubs. Which I find it funny because I am sure some Chicago guys scout in that area in the state of Tennessee. So to me, this makes the most perfect sense in the world here that they would take an outfielder from the state of Tennessee. Robert Hassell, the outfielder, Independence, Tennessee. Number 17, the Boston Red Sox. Patrick Bailey, catcher, North Carolina State. Boy, oh boy, does general manager Chaim Bloom have to refix the Boston Red Sox prospect pool because it's basically one of the worst in baseball. I happened to watch a Bowie Bay Sox game last year against the Portland Sea Dogs. In Double-A, that's Boston's Double-A affiliate. And the Bowie Bay Sox is the Baltimore Orioles Double-A affiliate. Okay? So here's what's interesting. I'm watching this. I'm watching the Red Sox. And I'm sitting here. And this pitcher is supposedly their third best prospect. And he gets teed off of on. And I text my friend who's a Red Sox fan. And I say to him, and I said, this is the third best prospect the Red Sox have? This is how weak their farm system is? Oh my, you gotta be kidding me. It's taken a major step back, and Bloom has to fix it. So Patrick Bailey, the catcher from North Carolina State, fits the bill. And they're gonna need a catcher because their catching position's older. Number 18, the Arizona Diamondbacks, Tyler Soderstrom, catcher, Turlock, California. Makes sense, Arizona, California. Arizona needs a catcher for the future. Number 19, the New York Mets, Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet. Left-handed pitcher, Tennessee. The Mets love using. They love to draft pitchers. The New York Mets love to draft left-handed pitchers and pitchers in general. So, like Jacob deGrom, they drafted Matt Harvey. And and Justin Dunn, who they happen to trade away from the Seattle Mariners. And that's what the Mets love to do. I think they need to draft bats. Actually, they do have enough bats. Maybe they need some more pitching. Number 20, the Milwaukee Brewers, Pete Crow, Armstrong, outfielder, Harvard Westlake, California. Take the best player available here. Milwaukee has a very underrated farm system. Number 21, the St. Louis Cardinals, Dylan Dingler, catcher, Ohio State. Yadier Molina's not going to be there forever. He certainly will not be there forever. Number 22, the Washington Nationals, Bryce Jarvis, right-handed pitcher, Duke. Boy, do the Nationals love to draft their pitchers. They took a pitcher last year. Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg won't be there forever. So get yourself another potential ace in the first round. Number 23, the Cleveland Indians. Cole Wilcox, right-handed pitcher. Georgia. Indians love drafting pitchers. And I personally think the Indians need a bat because that's where some of their problems are. However, pitching, you can, as I've said, you can never have enough pitching. And Wilcox was the number 2 pitcher on Georgia, and he could be a number 1. Number 24, the Tampa Bay Rays. Austin Wells, catcher, Arizona. Tampa Bay needs bats. They don't have any one guy name on their team that really sticks out to you. They're a team that's driven off of analytics, basically. But get guys that can swing the bat, go yard, or drive in runs. That's what you got to do in today's game. Because if you don't have enough bats, you're going to have a tough time winning. Number 25, the Atlanta Braves. Carmen Mlodzinski, right-handed pitcher, South Carolina. Atlanta, Georgia, not far from the University of South Carolina. And the Braves, they love stockpiling pitchers. They know what they're doing when it comes to farm system rankings. They got Kyle Wright and Ian Anderson in their farm system. Where Kyle Anderson has been shaky, but Ian Wright could potentially be a top 2, top 3 pitcher in the rotation. Number 26, the Oakland Athletics. Cade Cavilli, right-handed pitcher, Oklahoma. The Oakland Athletics, they got the bats, but they need more pitching. Number 27, Minnesota Twins. Bobby Miller, right-handed pitcher, Louisville. Yes, you got Jose Barreros and a couple other decent pitchers, but stockpile the farm system with more pitchers. Number 28, the New York Yankees. Tanner Burns, right-handed pitcher, Auburn. You got to restock the pitching prospects, basically because the Yankees have traded a lot of guys away. Justus Sheffield to Seattle Mariners, Dylan Tate to the Baltimore Orioles. Number 29, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They seem to draft well no matter what. Chris McMahon, right-handed pitcher, Miami. And the Houston Astros don't have a first-round pick due to the cheating scandal nonetheless. So here we go with the last of it, a little bit of the first round. First round competitive balance, round A. Number 30, the Baltimore Orioles. Casey Martin, shortstop, Arkansas. I wouldn't be surprised if they go another pitcher here, considering the fact that general manager Mike Elias went basically a ton of bats last year. It wouldn't be surprising if they went another pitcher here to go with Grayson Rodriguez and Grayson Rodriguez and potentially somebody else. They'd potentially draft number 2 overall. I expect them to take a pitcher number 2 overall. Maybe they go a pitcher here at number 30. But what I was looking at on MLB.com with the players I had available, Casey Martin, the shortstop from Arkansas, I have as the best player available. Number 31, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Slade Cessione, right-handed pitcher, Miami. Take another ace, Pittsburgh. You need to develop a pitching staff. And also find some other solid players you could later on. Number 32, the Kansas City Royals. Justin Foscue. Second baseman, Mississippi State. They have Whit Merrifield at second base for right now. But you know what's going to happen with these teams that are rebuilding. They're going to trade someone. Maybe they're not going to play games. I don't know if the MLB is going to play games this year, but I'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But the truth of the matter is, if you trade a guy like Whit Merrifield at second base to a contender, then you're going to need a second baseman down the road. Number 33, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jordan Walker, third baseman, Decatur, Georgia. Arizona's actually done a very nice job evaluating and scouting because they had, 4 first-round picks last year? And I say maybe they trade one of them, but the thing is, no one usually trades first-round picks in baseball, or if they're let alone allowed to. I mean, I never seen in baseball teams with trading picks, not like in hockey and basketball and football anyways. Number 34, the San Diego Padres take Carson Montgomery, a right-handed pitcher from Windermere, Florida. Mackenzie Gore is a tank for San Diego's farm system, and he's probably going to be their number one ace, potentially with Chris Paddock at number 2 in the near future. Number 35, Colorado Rockies, Drew Romo, catcher, the Woodlands, Texas. Drew Romo, Colorado's got all the bats. Catching position, it's fun. It's very hard to find catchers. So have Colorado draft your catcher. Number 36, the Cleveland Indians, Daniel Cabrera, outfielder, Louisiana State. Here we go. Have them take a bat. Have them develop. And they'll take it from there. Number 37. Yeah, Daniel Cabrera, 36 pick Cleveland Indians, Daniel Cabrera, outfielder, LSU. Louisiana State's basically the same thing. The LSU Tigers. Number 37, the Tampa Bay Rays from the St. Louis Cardinals in a trade. CJ Van Eck, right-handed pitcher, Florida State. Wouldn't be a shock. Tampa Bay, Florida State. It's all basically in the same backyard. So I hope I didn't bore you guys to death over the last 21 minutes of this with basically baseball, draft, and all this stuff. Yes, I guess it's important, but I guess MLB doesn't do a good job of marketing stuff. And I'm going to stick on baseball here for right now, because this draft will be on Wednesday on June 10th, starting at 7 p.m. on the MLB Network and ESPN. And I've watched the MLB draft over the last few years. Yeah, I know I don't know much really potentially about the guys that are getting drafted, but I do some research on the farm system, some positions they need, and also with the MLB guys and how old they are and stuff like that. And the thing is, it's important because you got to develop a farm system. You have no farm system, you got no future. It's as simple as that. And I read a story about the minor leagues the other day in Sports Illustrated, but that's another story for another time. So, speaking of the minor leagues and stuff related to MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred, nonetheless. So, someone on Twitter named Nick Francona, I don't think he's related to Terry Francona because he didn't have a blue check mark, said on his Twitter page, whether it's eliminating minor league teams or MLB's recent proposal for a 48-game season, Rob Manfred seems to always want less baseball. Very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Because it seems like Rob Manfred is trying to ruin the sport of baseball and not make it better. Whether it's the MLB and the MLPA not agreeing to things, I mean, come on. And then not trying to hand down the suspension for the Houston Astros. I could go off on Rob Manfred today, but I'm not going to. I guess nonetheless, because I want to get going here on my next topic. Speaking of the draft, let's move forward with the NBA. In the NBA, because the regular season for 8 teams is officially over. So, because they're not going back to Orlando on July 31st, and here we go, the 8 teams that are not coming back: the Golden State Warriors, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Atlanta Hawks, the Detroit Pistons, the New York Knicks, the Chicago Bulls, and the Charlotte Hornets in that order. So let me sit here right now, and if we don't do a mock as in a lottery, and if it stays the way it exactly is right now, that's the order. And here's who I think these guys would take. Number 1, the Golden State Warriors, James Wiseman, center from Memphis. Number 2, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Deni Avdija, small forward, Maccabi Tel Aviv. Number 3, the Minnesota Timberwolves, LaMelo Ball, point guard, Ilara Hawks. Number 4, the Atlanta Hawks, Anthony Edwards, shooting guard, Georgia. Makes sense, Georgia, Atlanta. Number 5, Detroit Pistons, Obi Toppin, powered forward, Dayton. Number 6, the New York Knicks, Killian Hayes, point guard, shooting guard, Ratia Farm, Ulm. 7, Chicago Bulls, Isaac Okoro, small forward, Auburn. Number 8, Charlotte Hornets, Onyeka Okongwu, power forward, small center, USC. And I'm curious to see how the rest of the draft order is going to land. So on that note, Kevin Durant. And I'm going to start off with this. Kevin Durant's not going to return. He's the heartbeat and heart and soul of the Brooklyn Nets. And he's not coming back this year. Let's just say it like that. He's already announced that Kevin Durant is not coming back this year, despite games coming back. Despite the games coming back on July 31st. And Kevin Durant is probably making the right move here. Wait till next year. The league probably is going to plan on starting in December 1st or 2nd. And with the potentially season ending on October 12th. Alright? And then they also announced that the draft lottery will be on August 25th. And the NBA draft is going to be held on October 12th. So back to Kevin Durant. Smart move by Durant by not wanting to play. I don't blame him. Let him rest. He doesn't need to re-injure himself. And who knows how rusty these guys are going to be. You don't know how rusty these guys are going to be. Because last year in 78 games with the Golden State Warriors in 2018-2019, averaged 26 points a game, 6.4 rebounds a game, 5.9 assists per game, 1.1 blocks per game, and 0.7 steals per game. Kevin Durant is a top 2, top 3 player in this league. Top 5 for sure. And Kevin Durant's making the right move. And I'm sure his partner in crime, Kyrie Irving's doing the same thing as well. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are just waiting to get back to play with each other next year. And the Brooklyn Nets will be a series title contender. And let's see if they go after Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards. I don't know if they're going to go after Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards. But if they do go after him, that's going to be an interesting... an interesting sight to see. Because this team, it's got all sorts of potential next year. We'll see how Karis LeVert will do, and Spencer Dinwiddie. You got Jared Allen, Danza Musa, Ronnis Kuric, Joe Harris. And then you also have DeAndre Jordan. The team is potentially loaded for next year, but they may be okay even if they don't make a trade. That will be... We'll see how the Nets are going to be next year. Because they got all sorts of potential next year. Will they keep Jacques Vaughn as the new head coach? Or are they going to go after a guy like Tyronn Lue? Or do they even go after a guy like Greg Popovich? I mean, would they go after a guy like Greg Popovich from the San Antonio Spurs? That's something to keep an eye on down the road. Because I've heard that name come up in rumors. And to be honest, I don't know why. That's just the way it is. And Kevin Durant is just making the right move here to not play this year. And he's just going to wait it out next year. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see what happens. Next up, the Philadelphia 76ers are the next talk on here. In honor of the 76 show today, I might as well talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. All right. So I happened to read about them on one website, on WBLZmedia.com on Friday, and are they potentially the dark horse team in the Eastern Conference? And the answer has to be yes. The Philadelphia 76ers, yes, they're the 6th seed right now, and yes, they would play the Boston Celtics if they played each other right now if the regular season ended as is. But let me say something here. The Sixers beat the Celtics 3 times. And I think the Sixers got more A players than the Celtics do. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid is a better 2 combination than Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum. And I think their 3rd guy, Tobias Harris, is better than Jaylen Brown. 3-on-3, I would take the top 3 Sixers players over the top 3 Celtics players. Embiid and Simmons are A players. Harris is a B+. Walker's an A-. Tatum's a B to a B+. And Jaylen Brown's a B-. That's how I feel. And yes, I know Ben Simmons can't shoot. But Ben Simmons is a distributor, and he does everything else, considering the fact that Simmons played in 54 games last year and scored 16.7 points a game, 7.8 rebounds, 8.2 assists, 0.6 blocks, and 2.1 steals a game. That actually happens to be so far this year, and Simmons is the heartbeat and heart and soul of the Sixers. But let me say this. Simmons is the facilitator and distributor. The offense is more fluid when he does things compared to when it's Joel Embiid. It looks more slow when it's just Embiid compared to Simmons. Joel Embiid, 44 games this year, 23.4 points per game, 11.8 rebounds per game, 3.1 assists per game, 1.3 blocks per game, and 0.9 steals per game. Now, the Sixers, you still got to beat the Celtics and the Raptors and the Bucks to even get to the NBA Finals. And yes, that's going to be a tall order. I feel a little more comfortable if they had a guy like JJ Redick and Jimmy Butler still around. I don't feel as comfortable this year because they don't have them. You need Tobias Harris and Al Horford and Josh Richardson to step up. And Josh Richardson is coming along slowly but surely for the 76ers. And Matthias Thybulle and Shake Milton off the bench, yeah, it's okay. But I don't think their bench is that deep. And what happened to a guy, Zare Smith, who they drafted and they happen to like? And he's happened to be playing in the G League. And here's another question the Philadelphia 76ers have to answer to themselves. The Philadelphia 76ers. If the 76ers do not get to the conference finals, what do? Do you A, fire Brett Brown? Do you B, trade Joel Embiid? Or do you C, trade Ben Simmons? That is a question General Manager Elton Brand's going to have to decide. That's the $1 million question that general managers have to be paid for. Or do you keep Brett Brown? Do you keep Simmons and Embiid? Or if you're the owner, do you actually pull the trigger and fire Elton Brand because he seems to be the one that messes things up? You don't bring back Jimmy Butler or JJ Redick. You don't know what to do with guys like Jahlil Okafor when you draft him or Nerlens Noel. I mean, come on. What are you doing? There seems to be an issue with the front office in the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There seems to be an issue with the Sixers. And I don't know what it is. I really do not know the problem with the Sixers. On that note, with the Philadelphia 76ers, nonetheless, we'll see where this goes from here. Because I'm very curious to see how well they're going to play out of the break. And one thing about the Sixers they don't have to worry about is playing a road game. You don't have to leave Orlando. You don't have to go to a hostile environment. May actually benefit the Philadelphia 76ers. They were 25-2 this year at home for a reason. They feed it off energy. They feed it off the home crowd. Yes, they're not going to have a home crowd now, but it's just as good playing in front of no fans as it was for them playing at home nonetheless. Yeah, nonetheless. So, now let's move on to another debate. Number 5, NHL Phase 2 is officially underway. The NHL has begun Phase 2, effective as today, when it comes to getting back into game playing shape nonetheless. You cannot have more than 6 players at the arena, and some teams won't be as fast to open their training facilities, and some of them are already opening today, nonetheless. And I know Evgeny Malkin, Pittsburgh Penguins forward, center, already flew back and he can't wait to get back to work. And these teams are also willing to do whatever it takes to win. You have 24 teams that are willing to prepare themselves. And there's something that I read this morning. Speaking of returning to play and all this stuff. Max Domi, a forward centerman for the Montreal Canadiens, supposedly has type 1 diabetes. And whenever play resumes, I don't even know if he'll be able to play due because of the coronavirus and having all these health conditions. So that's gotta suck. That's like when Ryan Clark was with the Pittsburgh Steelers and he couldn't play in Denver due to sickle cell anemia. That's gotta be awful. And what the NHL also figured out is that the playoffs will be reseeded. They're not going to be bracketed. And this is the first time the NHL playoffs will be reseeded since 2012-2013. The first time the NHL playoffs was bracketed, it was 2013-2014 postseason. But you don't need to worry, ladies and gentlemen. The bracketed playoffs will all hopefully be back next year for the return for the 2020-2021 season nonetheless. And I'll be very excited for it. But we are getting closer every single day for sports returning nonetheless. I'm really excited because personally, I cannot wait for hockey to come back. Or basketball. I know PGA Golf is returning this week. And I know NASCAR's back too. And my dad's like, I told my dad, I said, put back NASCAR on yesterday. He's like to me, I never thought I heard those words out of your mouth. I'm like, yeah, it's only because there's probably nothing else on TV and I didn't want. And I personally did not want to watch cartoons. But before I get into my next segment, I just want to say something about watching things of last night. I actually happened to be watching the Grease musical last night. Oh boy, did it give me such good hype and vibes. And I felt good going into today, not feeling stressed about anything. And I'm just like, good vibes, exactly what I needed. And boy, did that come through in the clutch. I just loved actually watching it. I hope you all watch it because that's something funny that we all needed to laugh at right now. And something funny we all need to laugh at is the fact that Max Kellerman was an outright clown for saying no one cares about hockey. So now I've decided to share this all with you. There have been players and other people that have taken shots at him. So I'm going to read some of the tweets that some of these people have said to Max Kellerman, and here we go. Paul Bissonnette at BizNasty 2.0 posted on his Twitter page this. Hey, at Max Kellerman, I bet if you sat front row along the glass at a playoff game, your blank will move a little. Let's get you 2-1-1 at the NHL is rolling again with fans, and you could go back on air and tell everyone about the new feelings you caught. Drinks on me too. Go Yotes, cactus emoji. Linda Khan, ESPN NHL analyst. What do you mean, quote, nobody cares about hockey? Very disappointed and surprised you would make a statement like this at Max Kellerman. It's insulting to the great game, those associated with it covered, and to passionate fan base here in the United States. Hashtag NHL. Boy, I love these tweets. I just love that how these people are ripping into him. Next, Carlo Colasovo. Just an idiotic take by Max Kellerman about a league that makes close to $4 billion annually. Mike Milbury. Hockey is alive and well at Max Kellerman. The MLB only has a steady viewership because men over the age of 70 use it as a sleep remedy. I prefer vodka. People love the sport around the world. Something neither the NFL nor the MLB can say. Just ask Charles Barkley about our playoff. Claude Giroux, the captain of the Philadelphia Flyers, mentioned, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but settle down at Max Kellerman. Tony D'Angelo, typical clown emoji, statement from Max Kellerman saying no one in the U.S. cares about hockey. Not quote, a major sport. At Max Kellerman, tell it to the millions of fans in sold-out arenas across the league. You'll hear more about this on the podcast at Watch Your Tone 4. All right. Next up, Patrick Mahomes. Nick Wright of Fox Sports 1 is right about this. He mentioned this on this show the other day. I was critical of Nick Wright last week. But here is something that I actually kind of agree with here. I know how big of a Chiefs fan Nick Wright is and how big of a Patrick Mahomes fan he is. So here's something that he said, and I'm actually going to side with him on this. Patrick Mahomes thinks he should be paid 10-year deal worth $500 million and get his contract out of the way now nonetheless. I couldn't agree more. First of all, Patrick Mahomes deserves that contract, and he's probably going to win a few Super Bowls. Pay him now so he doesn't get more expensive, and yet he may not even be the highest paid quarterback. Maybe Deshaun Watson or whoever some of the new guys in the league will be. Because let me just tell you this. Patrick Mahomes may not be the top quarterback, not top quarterback, not the top paid quarterback, in the NFL. Because Patrick Mahomes, maybe it should be 10 years for 45 to 50 million a year, but maybe some way, somehow you front load the contract so you can pay guys like Chris Jones and Tyreek Hill. And the thing is, Patrick Mahomes is the heart and soul of the Kansas City Chiefs, the leader. And we're going to see down the road that he's going to be one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. No question about it. Absolutely no question. Get Patrick Mahomes' money right now. And if you don't get Patrick Mahomes' money right now, maybe it will be kind of regretted later on to get some of the other guys' money on the Kansas City Chiefs. Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, you name it. But you can't tell me that he doesn't deserve this money now. Get it out of the way. What is the Kansas City front office thinking? Now I know they're probably waiting. They're going to play the waiting game, sure. I probably know why I think they're waiting a little bit. They're probably waiting because Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott wants $45 million. And there's no way on this planet Earth that Dak Prescott on the Dallas Cowboys is getting $45 million. You can throw that darn thing out the window, ladies and gentlemen, because Dak Prescott's not getting that money. Patrick Mahomes is going to get that money. Deshaun Watson's going to get that money. Carson Wentz is kind of sort of getting that money. Maybe Russell Wilson should get that money. No. You need to give it to right now to Patrick Mahomes. Just do it. Because Patrick Mahomes is already the best quarterback in the NFL. I mean, he is. What else is there for me to see with him? I mean, his season almost ended last year on a knee injury. What else do you need? What else do you need to see from him? I don't think you need to see anything else from him. Time will tell to see how these contracts are going to evolve nonetheless. So, next up, a top 10 list. I'm going to give you some top 10 lists right now. And they are as follows. What do we want to see for a potential NBA Finals matchup? So this is my list. Number 10, the Boston Celtics and the Houston Rockets. Number 9, the Denver Nuggets and the Philadelphia 76ers. Number 8, the Toronto Raptors and the Denver Nuggets. Number 7, the Houston Rockets and the Milwaukee Bucks. I know how much, James Harden and Giannis Antetokounmpo don't like each other. They simply don't like each other. Period. Number 6, Houston Rockets, Philadelphia 76ers. I'll tell you why I like this matchup. All right? I remember watching last year. It was in 2019. On Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I loved watching this game. Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm not a big Harden guy at all. I think he's a playoff choker, and I personally think he may be one of the most overrated players in the NBA. I don't think he's very good defensively. Yeah, I know he passes the ball, but I just think my brother Ben has no idea what he's talking about when he thinks that James Harden is better than Kawhi Leonard. I want to tell him that, but he'll just bicker with me about all that stuff. That's just my opinion on it. And James Harden, I loved how Joel Embiid basically put him in his place. And it was like, I liked how Kevin Harlan called it, blocked by Embiid. Down goes Harden. I enjoyed every second watching that. Because I'm not big into Harden whatsoever. And Harden that game was an absolutely fake tough guy. Because when things get tough for James Harden, he's a downright fake tough guy. Because Harden does not like physicality. He doesn't like being touched. That's just the way James Harden is. And Joel Embiid, and I remember James Harden wanted to take a smack right at Embiid. And Embiid would have decked the living daylights out of him, and I would have paid money to see that. Because James Harden would have deserved every single cent of it. And good for Embiid sticking up for himself in that game. And plus, he also got Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris, as mentioned about earlier. And oh yeah, Russell Westbrook also pulls a disappearing act in the playoffs too. Yes, he might play hard in the playoffs, but he disappears. And you also got PJ Tucker. Number 5, the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers. What else do I need to say? LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker. You got the rich history between these two teams. Boston, LA. And I don't know if I want to see Boston and LA in the finals. But, on the other hand, it may be a good thing for the league this year. But I'm not too big, to be honest, on both of these teams. I don't think either team is going to win. I don't think the Lakers are winning the West. And I don't think the Celtics are going to win the East either. Number 4, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Los Angeles Lakers. This would be an interesting matchup because these two teams played each other in the 2001 finals. You got Allen Iverson, Eric Snow, you had them all. And then you had Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bean Bryant. You had Rick Fox, you had Robert Horry. You basically had all those guys. And the Lakers beat them in 5. And that would be a nice viewing. 2 blue-collar cities, blue-collar basketball towns. So that would be some very nice ratings. Number 3, this was my NBA Finals preview. But I only had this at number 3. The Philadelphia 76ers and the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. And I don't need to repeat myself on the Sixers players. Number 2, the Los Angeles Lakers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis, Middleton, LeBron, and AD. Number 1, the Los Angeles Clippers and the Milwaukee Bucks, who I personally think are, my opinion, is the 2 best teams in the NBA. I truly believe those are the 2 best teams in the NBA. And we will see where this goes from here. Another list. Here is another list that I want to get into after leaving the NBA's top 10 finals I want to see nonetheless. So I hope you all enjoyed those top 10 NBA finals that I would love to potentially see. And now this is more my cup of tea. The NHL Stanley Cup finals I want to see. Here we go. Number 10, the Vegas Golden Knights and the Washington Capitals. A rematch of 2018. And Washington posted on its thing yesterday, happy June 7th, knowing that they won it all 2 years ago on that date. Happens to know I actually know a few friends who are like the Washington Capitals. And then it's like, yeah, good for them that they like the Capitals and they happen to see a Stanley Cup in their lifetimes. That's just a joy seeing your team win the Stanley Cup. I've seen it with the Pittsburgh Penguins 3 times. Hopefully more to come in the future. So that would be an interesting series, Vegas and Washington in a rematch. Number 9, Dallas Stars, Tampa Bay Lightning. Ben Bishop, who basically put the Tampa Bay Lightning back on the map. Bishop versus Andrei Vasilevsky. Andrei Vasilevsky is a downright beast between the pipes. And speaking of Lightning, as I made some sort of joke yesterday on my page about this, you know the song Grease Lightning? It's like, Grease Lightning, brought to you in part by Steven Stamkos and Nikita Kucherov. And I'm like, those 2 guys are absolute studs for the... Those 2 guys are studs for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Dallas has some of its own guys like Jamie Benn and Jason Spezza. And then you got Miro Heiskanen on their back end. And then you also have Victor Hedman on Tampa Bay's back end. Number 8, Edmonton Oilers, Washington Capitals. Give me new face Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl against Alex Ovechkin, Evgeny Kuznetsov, and those players. That'll be a fun series. You got the old school and the new school. Number 7, let's stick with the Edmonton Oilers, this time against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl against Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, make me a milkshake. Gino, yes sir. Before I get to number 6, this is just fascinating. I mean, that would be a really, 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 absolutely downright fun series to watch. This would be fantastic. Number 6, the Colorado Avalanche and the Boston Bruins. You got Nathan McKinnon and you got Brad Marchand. Colorado's one of those teams that's like up and coming. Number 5, St. Louis Blues, Washington Capitals. Number 4, St. Louis Blues and Pittsburgh Penguins. I was saying about Malkin, the Heartbeat Hearts all year, Pittsburgh Penguins, along with Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby, Jake Gunsel. And then Matt Murray and Jordan Binnington would be a fascinating goalie matchup. Number 3, Colorado Avalanche, Pittsburgh Penguins. Battle of Nova Scotia! Nathan MacKinnon and Sidney Crosby. That is the Battle of Nova Scotia, baby. Halifax? Yes, sir. I would love to see that matchup. Number 2, Colorado Avalanche. Wait a second. Did I seriously write Colorado Avalanche and the Boston Bruins twice? Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. I can't believe I wrote down the Colorado Avalanche and the Boston Bruins twice. Let's make this number 2. Let's make it the Colorado Avalanche. And let's go with the Flyers. Let's try the Philadelphia Flyers. Let's do something new. Because I can't believe I actually wrote that twice. Oh boy. So Colorado and Philadelphia, Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier. Philadelphia's got the pieces to go to the finals this year. It'd be a really new matchup. And last but not least, number 1, and this is the finals I want to see, what I had before the beginning of the year, Colorado Avalanche and the Tampa Bay Lightning. That is the final I want to see. Speed and skill, grit. Cale Makar on the back end for Colorado. Philip Grubauer going to try and win the Stanley Cup on his own after backing up Braden Holtby with the Washington Capitals. Vasilevsky's going to try and win a Stanley Cup. The Lightning have been there before with Stamkos and Kucherov. But that's all I got for now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in to my show, Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I'm glad you were able to join my loaded show today. I'm your host, Glenn Kaplan. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and your week as well. Nonetheless, I will be back on the air at the same time as Thursday as well. I will go over some more NBA and NHL topics. Also more about the 2020 NFL drafted schedule, other NFL topics, maybe 2020 MLB draft, and more related stuff to the MLB. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your day.